Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Two Hands and a Radio. A morning edition out here. I wanted to get out here early before the weather changes. I guess it's going to get cold and a chance of snow flurries tomorrow and windy and ugly. So I just wanted to get out here and show this little radio off. Today we're going to look at the Degen DE13. And it's advertised as an emergency radio. I've opened it up and charged up. It's got a lithium-ion battery in it, so I charged that up. It's got so many ways to power itself. Cool little radio. And while I open the box up, we're going to do something different today. I'm going to share a dream sequence with you. And we'll just transition off into my dream, and then we'll come right back. This was a great day for a picnic, but it's time to go home, and we've got the trash taken out, the picnic basket loaded up, put back in the car. I've got the blanket folded, it's put away, and I've come back, and I can't remember where I left the radio. Where is the radio? Oh no. Okay, well now hopefully with that little visual aid you see the problem that I saw as I opened the box up. I tend to think a little differently than most people. And so I guess that kind of jumped out at me for some reason. Let's get the box to stay put. Okay, it's a little windy right now. I guess the wind is really supposed to start later on. But here it is. The Degen DE13. It's a pretty green color. Except if you set it down in the grass, it could be a real problem to find. Oh, well, there we go. Let's just dump everything everywhere. Sorry about that. Cute little radio, though. Inside the box, we've got the operation manual and the unattached wrist strap that we don't care about. I think that's great. Let's put all that back in the box so I don't lose it. Anyway, this thing looks like, I'm surprised by how small it is. It was $21.84 on eBay. It came from China. And it is about 5 1/4 inches long. An 1 3/4 thick. Where else do I want to measure? Up here is about 2 1/2 inches tall. It is like a big oversized Twinkie. Maybe two. Do they still make 2 Twinkies in a pack? That's probably what this would be similar to. Reminds me a lot of those JBL Bluetooth speakers. They're pill shaped. It's kind of a pill shaped radio. Anyway, I digress. Very, very neat little radio, actually. I've kind of taken a little time to look at it beforehand because there is a lot of features to it. And for such a inexpensive radio, I apologize. The wind's starting to pick up already, so I apologize if that's causing any havoc. We'll just quickly go over this. Up front, we've got about 1 1/2 inch, 1 3/4 speaker. Not really sure what's tucked in back there. Analog dials broken up into 4 sections: FM, medium wave, which is our AM broadcast, shortwave 1 and shortwave 2. I don't know if you can see or not. If I hold it so I can see it barely. The CHA means it's charging. It's a charging light. Green when it's charging, and that means it's charging right now from the solar panel on top. It's very cool. So my point being to all the power pieces of it, this thing really has infinite power. and we'll go on and then we'll talk about the power. The front is for a band switch here, 4-position band switch, FM, medium wave, shortwave 1, shortwave 2. Very easy to operate. No instructions needed for this little radio, really. A volume knob. It's a little difficult to get to being on the bottom. You're going to have to hold the radio to change the volume. If you set it down, you're not going to be able to get to it. That's okay. On this side, we've got a tuning wheel, fantastically smooth. My first impression of this was, it's broken. It's so smooth. What they do with these is this wheel, a lot of them will have a string that goes around this wheel and goes in and turns your tuning, whatever it's called. And that turns that dial in and moves the dial and things. And it's just a little fishing line or string or whatever. And I honestly thought it wasn't even attached at first. It's like, man, that is so smooth. That's very, very nice. And then on this side also we have a flap here. And underneath the flap we had the mini USB charging port, headphone adapter, and then up here is a full-size USB that we can flip a switch on this and it will divert power over to this USB port, and we could charge our cell phones with it. Kind of neat. Now this flap is not waterproof, but it will be resistant to dust and dirt and things like that. Keep those important controls as clean as possible. Very nice on that. A nice feature to have. Now over on the back side, we've got a hand crank. So outside of all of this, we can charge the battery with a hand crank. Just grab a hold of it and give it a twist. Kind of annoying, but not too bad. I don't know how long you have to wind it to get how many minutes of charge. I really didn't look that deep into it. But it's there. You know, you could sit there and crank it for 5 minutes or so and get some radio life out of it. We've got the battery door here. Behind here is the old style cell phone battery. It's not the flat cell phone battery. It's well, I don't know, whatever you call them, cell phone batteries, all I know. And I don't know if you can see down in here or not, but that little white piece there is a plug-in. And you have to take this battery out and plug that in. I don't know if I can get that or not. I can't see it if I'm doing it right or not. That's one of the negatives with the radio. It's really hard to get that plug in, and I suppose if you're nimble fingered and tiny fingers and good eyesight, I have crappy eyesight, fat fingers, old fingers. It was difficult to get plugged in. It's just a tiny little plug in there, and that's just a minor negative. But now we look down at the bottom here, and it also holds 3 AAA batteries. And I will make a note right now that if you use the AAA batteries, they stack on top of each other. 2 of them stack on top of each other. Use this string that's included. This ribbon goes underneath those batteries, and you set the batteries on top. That way, when you go to pull the batteries out, you just pull the ribbon and poof, they all come out. If you don't do that, they're really hard to get out, trust me. So we've covered the back side. Over here, and we'll look at this in just a minute, 3 LED lights here. That's going to be interesting, I think. We're back to the front. Let's look at the top. Bottom's nothing. And here on the top, we've already talked about the solar panel that charges this. Neat little feature. We've got the antenna. Let's get it out of the way. It is just a left and right is all it is. It doesn't swivel around. And I measured it last night. It is 17 inches. Let's measure it again. Maybe I'm lying to myself. I'm sorry, it's 14 inches. Shows how my memory is. 14-inch antenna. And we've got just a series of switches here that it's about the only thing you really have to understand what their little symbols mean. And they're kind of easy to figure out. The front one here, we'll just start with this top switch. In the front position, turns on 3 LED lights for a flashlight. And trust me, in a dark room, it's not all bad. And of course, then it's the off position. If you go to the first position to the right, you get a flashing red light. I suppose that would be, if you're lost, you could, you know, set that up and somebody might see a small red light flashing. I suppose if they're within 5 or 6 foot of you, they might see it. But it's a nice thought anyway. And then the last position on this, we got the flashing light. And then get ready for this. If we go all the way over, okay, we've got a siren that goes off. The one thing I thought of about this is if you're a female and you carry this around in your purse, and if you were walking out at night and somebody were to come around you and you know, whatever those people do, I don't know that they'd want to stay around long. There's definitely an annoying sound. So that's kind of a neat feature, and it's the radio is small enough that you could just have it in your hand and in your purse or in your coat pocket, and you're just walking along with your finger on the switch up here, and that'd be the end of that. So anyway, I digress some more, I think. The second switch up here is an off switch. If you go all the way to the left, that directs power to this full-size USB port, and you could charge your cell phone. It's actually a pencil drawing of a cell phone up here. We've got the off button. We go over one more. Now we're running off the cell phone battery in the back. If we go one more over, now we're running on the AAA batteries that are in here. So this has the capability of AAA batteries, a lithium-ion battery, solar power, hand crank. I don't know that, I mean, it honestly is an infinite power source, really. And the sun's coming out now, so it's charging that battery. I did test it also last night. I was just curious. The lithium-ion battery will run at a low volume for almost 12 hours, 11 hours and 55 minutes before it dies. So you've got, and there again, I've got to say, depending on the volume, the louder the volume, the more battery juice it'll use. If you sit there at full volume with the flashlight on, that's going to change your battery life. It's really going to suck it down. And so, you know, your mileage is going to vary on those, but that's what I found anyway, that it lasted 11 hours and 55 minutes on a full charge. So now let's get into the part that we're all after, the radio. And like I said, it's 4 bands, so let's start out with FM. Just quickly look at it. We don't want to broadcast a lot of music on FM, but we'll just go to the lithium-ion battery. Now I've had it charging just for a couple of hours this morning, so if it dies, we'll go to the other battery. But it should, I believe, without reading the directions, I believe that as long as it's getting sunlight, it'll run the battery on the solar panel, so we shouldn't have to worry. It'll be a good test anyway, just to see what happens. We'll turn it up here and just thumb through quickly. Ooh, that sounds nice. That's got a nice sound. Oh, good morning, world.
Going down.
Okay.
And so I don't know if that directly correlates.
So all of these fat people.
Okay, something about fat people. Maybe I should have listened.
And
yeah, I know this sounds kind of silly, but you have $5,000 lying around. Go for it. We could use it. You could do that.
It's got a nice sound.
I'm in love with the shape of you. We push and pull like a magnet.
Okay, well, let's go to AM. We won't be as under the copyright laws. Huh. It's really pretty good. There's our local station.
President's knees were right up against the back of the car. Like this, and that's part of the reason I think why the president declared.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know that it pulls in Cincinnati. And that might be Cincinnati over there. I don't know. No? No, that's probably it right there. Now, the one thing that I did notice, you look at your tuning needle, and it's about 1/16 of an inch thick. I measured it last night. So when I'm at 6.5 megahertz, what side am I really after? Am I on 6.5, or is it on the left side or the right side, or somewhere in between? A slight negative. But you're dealing with an analog dial that's not the most accurately calibrated thing on earth, so it's not that big a deal. But it's just something I noticed. Let's go to shortwave 1. We might get some entertainment down here, down low. Start at 5.9 megahertz.
Off the road because it's not good for the public safety.
We might not get much. Well, there's actually some amateur radio operators. Of course, if they're on single sideband, this won't pick it up. You'll just hear that muffled sound. Just kind of run. Oh, there. Thought I heard the Canadian time thing right there. Yeah, that's the Canadian version of WWV. And that's right about, I can't remember what the frequency is, whether it's 7880 or 7830 or something, I don't know. I can't remember what it is now. But it's right in that area, so it's not all bad. Cool. That was an interesting little catch.
Anything surrounding it.
Rob sent me a whole series.
Okay, so they got quite a few stations. Let's run down here to shortwave 2 now, and let's listen to that.
Very good. I know, I'm concerned from him. I don't know if you've had a chance to hear him.
Rises in the area.
The only thing when you're holding it, you don't want to cover up the speaker, so it's a little, you have to think about how you're holding it. I guess you could hold it like so, but I also want to hold it so everybody can see it too.
Even though no exists.
Brother Stare.
Actually, yes, this has some big news, and we do, keep track of what's going on around the world. And in your home.
Very cool. How neat is this radio? There's something way up there around 18 megahertz. How neat. Let's go back down and see if we can find WWV 10 megahertz. Oh, let's just see if we can find it. And we dialed right to it.
Providing time of day, standard time intervals, and other related information. Inquiries regarding these times.
So 10 megahertz, we would probably use the right side of that thick needle as our guide for where we're at.
Fort Collins, Colorado, 80524.
Fort Collins, Colorado. How cool is that? You guys don't want to hear that again, I don't think. I always look for it. So it's aligned really pretty good. Okay. Well, I think we've gone through this thing pretty well. It's a very easy little radio, actually. Really nice radio. I would definitely leave this on the desk and play with it. Now, does it compare to the Kato KA600 emergency radio? No, not really. The Kato is 3 times the amount of money. And that radio I listen to daily. It's just a nice radio. Listen to it daily. If it were an emergency, and we had to leave the house, I would take the Kato. That would be the one I'd grab. Well, hopefully I'd grab other stuff too, but that radio would go with me. It's, you've got the temperature, humidity, all kind of features to it. And I think I hear a tractor coming up behind us. Just an overall great radio. And it takes up absolutely no space. Just let it sit on your desk, and like I said, it's a 2-pack of Twinkies or something. Very, very cool. I'm trying to think of have I run into any negatives with it? The 2 negatives, and one of them is not really much of a negative. The color would be a little difficult if you took it outside, set it in the grass or whatever. I mean, it seriously could be a problem, I suppose. That's just a minor negative. The biggest negative that I saw was that little plug-in down here. If I can get it all focused and looked at that plug-in, that was tough to get to. I don't know, and there again, that it didn't take very long to plug it in, but I could see where it might give somebody some fits. Outside of that, this thing is sensitive. I mean, we both rolled through the shortwave channels, and it's pulling in stuff that a lot of other radios under $20 did not pull in. And 2184, it's close enough to being $20. But I love the flashlights on it. A lot of the for some reason, I think the Chinese are fascinated with flashlights or something. A lot of the handheld radios, you get the 2-meter radios and whatnot, they have a flashlight built into it, or LED light. And I think it's a great feature on an emergency radio. It's kind of nice to have a little flashlight just so you can, see the emergency light, the siren. I think that, who in the world would ever use it? Probably nobody, but I think it's a cool feature to have, just a neat added feature. Might come in handy sometime in your walk of life. You never know. If you're lost out in the woods someplace and this is all you got, that might come in handy. I like the fact the little weather cover here, just to keep those plugs clean. I mean, negative wise, I don't see a lot of bad things about it. It's really overcast now. You can see behind me how cloudy it's gotten, and the charging light is still on, so the solar panel's working. We can try the AAA batteries quickly. just for giggles. See that it does work. So it does work. You can just go between the two batteries just seamlessly. Go between the two. Okay. Wow. Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, because this was just right at the $20 mark, anything when they start getting $30 and $40 or whatever, it's not fair to rate it against something under $20. But this scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give this little thing is an 8.8. I think it definitely deserves an 8.8. It's got a lot of features. It's easy to use. I just don't see a lot of problems with it. I could see maybe if you have gigantic hands and get out here, and I could see where the handle might, I don't know. I don't hold a radio that way. I just kind of grab it with my fingertips and go. But I could see that you might bang into it. I don't know. But yeah, that's it. What a great radio. If you can't afford the Kato KA600, which you can watch in previous reviews, then this would be a neat little emergency radio to have. I think you guys would really like it. So with that, I think that's about the end of this one. It's starting to get colder, just like they said it would. And I'm going to go inside. So with that, I will say if you like this video or found it useful, hit the subscribe button, give it a thumbs up and a like. If you feel so inclined, there's a link down in the description for donations through PayPal. All of that is appreciated. Your kind comments are appreciated. I'm surprised by how helpful this has been. I've read some comments where people said, wow, this really inspired me to get back into shortwave radio, or this inspired me to buy a radio and I got this radio, or whatever. And that is so cool. It's just amazing that, I like fiddling with these things, and so why not make a video of it? And that it actually inspires other people, and that's very, very cool. I like that. So anyway, enough of all that. I will say this has been the Degen DE13, and I hope you enjoy your weekend and get out there and spin the knob on your shortwave radios, and we will see you at the next review.